Hey guys, it's Uncle Dallas. How y'all doing? What's going on? How you feeling? All that wonderful stuff. We're doing great on this side of the mountain. We thank you for joining us on our Friday meeting, Sunday session, whatever you want to call it. Thank you for being here. Also, thank you for my TikTok family, my Instagram family, my Facebook family. Everybody, thank you for being here and joining us as we go on to do the new things and do things in God. So, today we're going to go into what we call a different dimension and a different time. What is going on here? Okay, yeah. Everything's kind of moving slow, guys. So y'all bear with me. Got it. So, let's see who everybody is, where is everybody, and what's going on, and all that wonderful stuff. So, one of the things I want you guys to kind of understand when it comes to what's happening in your life is understanding that God is blessing you where you are. But you got to realize one thing about that blessing part of it. You have to realize that He's blessing you for a purpose and for a reason. And I understand a lot of us are dealing with issues in our lives and situations in our lives and circumstances in our lives. And so today I want to talk to you about, like the flyer said, I think the flyer said, how to reclaim what's yours, how to do that. But before I do that, I want to make sure that, give people some time to get in. That's why I'm kind of moving in these little beat around the bush conversations. Yeah. So it says the power of persuasion, okay? With the power of persuasion. Apostle, you didn't call me last night. I had something for you so we can help you get to this conference. The power of persuasion. And what the power of persuasion is, power of possession. There is a battle going on right now, and a lot of us don't know the battle. We don't know. Now, I talk about the battle a lot, but a lot of us really don't understand the battle. And what the problem that happens with the battle is most of us have been in the battle for so very long that we don't know that we're not only in the battle, but we don't know how to fight in the battle. Okay? And so I want you to understand something. What is being battled for is the greatest commodity that you've ever seen in your entire life. It is a battle that is so far beyond what you can actually think. You have to get to a point of understanding how to get it done. Okay? So, excuse me. YouTube.com/higher talk. Okay. So, yeah, we're ready. We're ready, guys. I was up like 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay. I was up like 2 o'clock in the morning last night. I didn't go to bed till like 6 o'clock in the morning. The reason I went to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning because I get up enough to get time to do what I'm doing right now. And so, when I did that, Audrey Jones, when I did that, there we go, and there we go, and there we go. Now, everybody's on. So, what you have to realize is the battle that's going on right now, and unfortunately, here's the best way to win a battle. The best way to win a battle is to keep people out of the battle. The best way to win the battle is not to fight the battle. It's not to be a better warrior. It's not to be a better tactician. It's to fight the battle. Is the best way to win the battle is to not be in the battle at all. To keep the people that are the worst, to keep the people that are the hardest to win, or the people that can win the battle, to keep them out of the battle. So check this out. What's happening to you right now is you are being placed in a battle. Okay, got it. I heard you. I saw you, Apostle. You're being placed in a battle, and the battle is yours. You can win the battle. You are victorious in the battle. Everything about the battle is yours. But what they have to do is they got to distract you from the battle. Why? Because if I distract you from the battle, I can win the battle. So those of you that have been following me for any period of time know that it's not about what you do physically. It's about what's happening in your spirit. Now let me just forget this. I'm trying to do this. It's about what's happening in your spirit. So the battle is not for your flesh. You think that is. You think that the most valuable thing you have is your flesh. We've been taught that. And the reason we've been taught that is because if I teach you that the most valuable thing in the world is your flesh, and let's look at this diagram right here. Let's look at this diagram right here. Okay. So this your spirit, your mind, your soul, your body. You've been taught that your body is the most valuable part of who you are. Okay? You've been taught that your body, and let me just, I'm going to move this over so those people that are in on Instagram can see this, because it's a little big for those people that are on Instagram. You've been taught that your body is the most important part of your body, important part of your life. Okay? So you've been taught I have to look good, sound good, feel good, all those kind of things. For those of you that should help you out right there. Yeah. I just need y'all to see that. Okay? So I've been taught to look good, feel good, sound good. Is that good? Is that good? No. Nah. Let's move it over a little more. Matter of fact, let me move over a little more, and I'm gonna put you back in the. I'll put you right in the middle where. So, okay. You've been taught to look good, feel good, sound good. Oh my God, I feel good. Everything's good. You've been taught this good feeling kind of teaching. And the reason you've been taught this good feeling kind of teaching, because the best way for me to defeat you is to put you in a position where you are not in the battle. That's the whole thing. You are in a battle right now where you've won. That means your house is there, your car is there, your relationship is there. All those things are there. But what happens is, and now I got to be way over here. What happens is your spirit, being the most valuable part of you, is the part that they keep you from avoid. They avoid you to do that. You're avoided. They're keeping you avoiding that spirit. You avoid the moving of the spirit. You avoid the acting of the spirit. You avoid that stuff. That's the best way to keep you from winning the battle. So what happens is your mind has to get to a new place. You have to get to a place. I talked to a couple of people that said, dude, Uncle Dallas, you are just really putting things in our minds and helping us in this old thing. But it's so hard to transition, because what happens, truth is now truth is now in conflict with arbitrary thought. It's in conflict with what we think something should happen, or how we think something should happen, instead of what the truth is. Now, the problem with that is, or the challenge that we have, I don't believe in problems. The challenge with that is, you have been taught that the true thing is the truth thing. You've been taught that what you are living is the truth when it is not the truth. And so what happens is, religion became truth. Religion became truth. So when you lived in religion, you felt like you were living in truth. Okay? So when I start teaching you about real truth, you compare religion to what I'm telling you. And so you go, wait a minute. I talked to a person. He said, man, I just can't get with that. He said, I don't know. And I said, well, what's the problem with getting with it? He said, I don't know. I said, well, let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is, you've been taught that God is going to bless you one way, and you are so desperately trying to stay within his blessings that you don't want to mess up the communication that connects you between him and God. I mean, you and God. And I said, that's the biggest thing. You're not really concerned about what I say is true or not true. Why? Because if you were, there are things in your life right now that you know you need to stop doing, and you're not persuaded to stop doing those things. And the reason you're not persuaded to stop doing those things, the mic's supposed to be over here. The reason you're not persuaded to stop doing those things, because they're valuable to you. Ask yourself right now, God says, give up all your cars and houses and all your clothes and start over. Do like the rich young ruler. Would you do it? What in your life would make you do that? Could you do it? Why? Because you love those things. Those things are part of you. So when I say to you that you have to separate yourself from religion, and that you need to understand the power of possession, that it's going to take you not going to church for a couple of weeks, not ever, but a couple of weeks. If I tell you this is going to take you from the mindset of tithing to the mindset of giving, if I tell you that it takes you from the mindset of being a Christian is a lower form of being what God wants you to be, he wants you to be godly, If I tell you that religion has been telling you that you have to do certain things for the leaders when God wants you to do things for him and the leaders will fall into place. When I tell you that the sacraments and all the things and the rituals that you've been taught are rituals that are not taking you closer to God, they may be teaching you a structure, but they're not taking you closer to God. So if I tell you these things, you all of a sudden find yourself in a position where you are now afraid. And I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand it. But I got a question for you. Are you afraid to make a mistake? Are you afraid when that person walks by you, snap your neck? Are you afraid because we build these laws and these rules and these regulations and we put these people on these pedestals. And once we put the people on the pedestal, they no longer become people. They become gods or deities or influencers or all these kind of things. And so what we do is we serve them with the hopes that they will give us whatever their wares are. We will rub their heads like they're little magical elves and hoping they'll give us a pot of gold. When the whole time is you've given that person your mind. They possess your mind now. They possess your mind. And the funny thing is, they never battled for your mind. They just convinced you that you weren't strong enough to take care of your mind. Would you like to know a very important thing? Something that's going to really blow your mind? Everything that you are dealing with when it comes to government has nothing to do with government not liking you. It has nothing to do with government feeling like you are in the wrong place or right place. It has to do with the fact that government doesn't believe you can handle what you have to do with your life. There's a belief, and I read this in a book that said wealthy people, really wealthy people, mega rich people, do not think that the poor people have the mental capacity to handle money at this level. So when you read books about wealth and books about this, they've let out a certain amount, but they haven't really let the whole thing out because they don't believe that you have the capacity to handle wealth. So what they do is they give you what you want. They give you a Gucci belt, and all of a sudden Gucci belt satisfies you. They give you Prada shoes. They give you stuff that keeps you out of the arena. Hold it, let me do this again. Keeps you out of the arena of the battle. And so what happens is now you have people that are billionaires and going on to trillionaires, and you are complaining because you can't make a light bill or you can't kick a car note and all those kind of things. I don't know everybody that was here. I told you, why don't you get a copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Not Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Think and Grow Rich. You're going to realize that a lot of your thought processes have been told. You have been possessed. Yeah. You were about demons and African figurines and stuff in your house. And that's not the worst possession in the world, because guess what? Those things you are battling, those things you have power to beat, but you are being possessed. And the power of that possession is moving you around in the way that they think you should move. So now you have no control. We got people right now in deliverance ministries casting out devils, doing all these kind of things, and they're walking around with a bunch of people that are casting out devils, and they are broke, they're poor, they're desolate, they have nothing going on in their lives because somebody has told them that if I get this demon out of you, you're free. And freedom is great, don't get me wrong. But they've never released your mind. You've never released your mind. And because I begin to teach you of ways to get your mind released, instead of going, oh, I got to get my mind free, what happens to you is you fight staying in these places that do not give you freedom. It's hard. Guys, please believe me. And because God is so graceful, He's so graceful that He will keep at you because He loves you. He will keep at you. If you can put this thought in your mind, you know what? Let's go to Isaiah. Let's go to the law. If you can put this thought in your mind. Let's go to Isaiah. Oh, I'm going to pass right by. I want to show you something in Isaiah. Isaiah, the 26th chapter. All right? If you can put this thought in your mind. I said this yesterday. If you can put in your mind that I am more than enough for my situation, There are parts of you that are already at the point to accomplish something. You are more than enough. But there are three categories that you find yourself in: the battle of the present things, the battle of the past things, D-Bone, the battle of the present things, the battle of the past things, and the battle of the potential things. The present, the past, potential. You're battling the present things. Right now, my light bill is due. They're about to cut off my lights. You battle the present things. You're battling the past things. My mother said I was terrible. My dad said I was terrible. I couldn't do this. I don't think this. I'm white. I'm black. There's white privilege. There's black privilege. Black lives matter. All that and then you're battling the potential. But here's the one thing you're not battling: the spiritual things. You have not allowed your mind to say, guess what? I am bigger than this. I am stronger than this. I am more effective than this. I don't have. So what happens is your present things. I'm lonely. I don't have a husband. I don't have a wife. Well, am I going to have? I'm lonely. I'm hungry. You deal with those things, and when you deal with those things, your mind begins to scatter because you begin to doubt the position of God every time you deal with those things. But I digress. Isaiah 26:3 says, "Thou will keep him in perfect peace whose mind stays on thee, because he trusteth in thee." Talking about God. God will keep them in perfect peace whose mind stays on him. Now, I know you can't run around going, God, 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 God. But what he's saying to you is the forefront of your thought process should always be the supply of God. The forefront of your thought process should always be the supply of God. It should not be the supply of what you have, what you think you have, what you might have, what you could have. Why? Because that is limited. Matthew 6th chapter. Let's do this really quickly. Write these notes down, take notes, and take some more notes. After you take some notes, take some more notes. Then after you take some more notes, then take a couple more notes. Okay? Matthew, the 6th chapter, and let's start at 24 first. Let's start at 24 first. Okay? It says, "No man serves two masters." Now got that? Everybody got it? Got it? Wrote it down. Okay? No, it says, "No man serves two masters, for he will either hate the one or love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon." Now, mammon is the spirit of lust. Just for a long, that's a short way to put it. It's a lot deeper than that, but that's okay. Verse 25 says, "Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, comma." Now, there is that word life, and I'm gonna, you know what? Let's look that word up. Let's look that word up. I have a software program, and I'm going to look that word up for you. So we're looking at Matthew, the 6th chapter. Matthew 6. Where are we at? Matthew 6 and 25? Yep. Matthew 6, 25. Let's actually look that whole word up. Let's look up that life. All right? That was one God just dropped in my spirit. It wasn't one that I had on my mind. All right? Let's look that word up. Matthew 25 and take no thought. There we go. And we'll look for that word. Take no thought for the word is life. And it says, take no thought for your breath of life, the virtue or the force or the animation of your body, which is your life. Take no thought for the seats of your feelings, your desires, your affections. Let me switch this over here, because some of y'all see me reading this and you can't see this. So let's do this. It says, take no thought. Look at this right here. It said, take no thought, the breath of your life, the virtue force which animates the body and shows itself to breathe, of animals, of men. He said, take no thought for everything that makes your life life. Everything. Take no thought for everything that makes your life life. You follow me? That doesn't mean take no thought that you got to get up and go to the bathroom. It doesn't mean take no thought that you got to go to get some gas in your car. He said, for the essence of your life, take no thought of it. Now follow me now. What ye shall eat, what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body what you shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body more than remnant? Verse 26. Behold, the fowls of the air, for they sow, neither do they reap, nor do they gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them, and are ye not much more than they? We're not going to go too deep in that, because I can go to that thing. There's a whole little revelation, how he goes from the air to the top to the ground. He said at each level, if you look at that passage, he talks about each level. Each level. He said the fowls of the air. Then he goes from the fowls of the air. He goes to the birds of the field, the grass of the field, the lilies of the field. Everything. He said no matter what position you're in, God got you. God got you. Today, I've got to get you in your possession. I got to get you back to possess. I got to get you back to you possess what's yours. You don't own anything. You're simply possessing it. I got people now that say you can get the dead title to your car, which means that's the title they have. Yes. If we take more note, you can get the dead title to your car. He's going everything. You don't possess. And see, the key to it is anything you own, you're held responsible for. But if God is the owner of everything and he allows you to possess it, that means he's responsible for it. I have a car. I've got a mansion. I've got 7 cars. Okay, those cars are covered by insurance. There are every insurance possible on this car. Any kind of insurance you got, it's got insurance if a helicopter hit it. It's got all the insurance that I'll ever need for this car. You come over to my house. Will comes over to my house and he goes, "Hey Dallas, what you doing?" I said, "Nothing, dude. Anything you want in the house is yours. Any place you want to go in the house is yours. The refrigerator's full of food. My wife's got another refrigerator for her little. Don't worry, it's all yours. The earth is mine and the fullness thereof is mine, and I give this unto you." Remember I taught y'all the lesson that God had to die in order for you to get this, so God died. Now, when that happens, you come into my house. You want to drive one of the cars. I said, "Listen, Will, whatever you want to do, do it. Go for it, it's yours." I have to go out of town, so I'm leaving town. Do you know what your biggest challenge is? Is not breaking something and not hurting something and not making a mistake and not, oh my God, this, because you believe that this is above your pay grade. You believe that having your car paid for is above your pay grade. You believe having a good relationship is above your pay grade. So those things that have stopped you from moving in those areas, they possess your mind. But my possessions that I bequeath, allow you to use those possessions you can possess, but you don't have to own. Why? Because if Will takes my car, drives it, and wraps it around a tree, then he doesn't really have to worry about other than making sure he's okay, because the insurance takes care of that. But guess how much they got you? The society has gotten us so twisted in your mind. Follow this mindset here. I want you to follow this. Check this out. I was talking to my wife, and my wife is a recycler. She recycles. Well, we recycle. So she puts the plastic in one bag, she puts the metal in another bag, she puts another in another bag, and she recycles. Okay, so she recycles. So we recycle, and one time I came in, I threw a plastic bottle in my trash can, and my wife was like, "Why you throw the plastic bottle to work?" Why? My wife we are scuba divers, so she wants to make sure the fish are okay, the sharks are okay, and all those things are okay. So I said to her, I said, "Baby, let me ask you a question." I said, "Do we have a recycling plant?" She goes, "No." I said, "Do we have a truck that takes things to a recycling plant?" She goes, "No, I don't." I said, "You know what's really interesting? They got the world saying we're going to recycle and making them responsible for recycling, when the problem is not the people on the local end recycling. The problem is the people that have the plastic, what they do with it. We've been recycling, I think, since the late 90s, and we've been recycling for that long. But guess what? We still have beer cans and plastic being dumped into the ocean. All these things are happening. And why? Because they gave the responsibility to you. Because now you're held accountable for it. They got your mind. They got you convinced. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody doing something does help a process. But guess what? Everybody in this entire world can recycle, but it leaves your hand and goes to somebody. And that somebody has to make the decision on what you did. And if they decide to pour all that plastic into the ocean, you're going to feel bad about your next plastic bottle you hold. They got your mind, honey. You're possessed. You're possessed. You are possessed by the logic and the rationale of a world that has reduced you to a fleshly mindset and a mental weakness. You've been reduced to a fleshly mindset and a mental weakness. This is why women are showing their bodies on all over internet. That's why men are falling themselves in lust. This because you've been reduced to a fleshly mindset and a physical weakness. That's who you're reduced to. But I got news for you. There's a remedy. There's a remedy. John 15:7 says, if you abide in me, my word abide in you, you shall ask what you will and it shall be given to you. There's a remedy. John, the 1st chapter, the 12th verse, and let's just look at that one. That's my favorite of all of them. That's a remedy. There's a remedy. The remedy is now you're sitting and listening to me. And this is not going to be one of my really screamy, yelly ones. This is going to be this. I'm going to mark this because I never highlight this. I know it, I read it, but I don't highlight it. The Gospel according to John, the 1st chapter, and the 12th verse. The Gospel according to John, the 1st chapter, and the 12th verse. It says this, but as many as received him, to him gave them power to become sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Which were born not of blood, nor of the will of flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And verse 14, and the word was made flesh. Now, I'm going to give you some spiritual fancy footwork to make me look like I'm really smart, but it's really basic, so pay attention to this. So what in order to win the battle, in order to bring you down, I've got to get you to start believing stuff. Hear me very closely, everybody. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, hear me very, very closely. The battle of your life is not spiritual principles. So what you learn in this Bible is not what you're battling for or battling with. What you're learning in this Bible is to build a foundation to build on top of it. If you go to Matthew, the 12th chapter, and the 33rd, 34th, 35th verse, it says, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. The first thing that God was able to do to bring change to his world is he spake. Are you ready for this? Okay, so check this out. So now I told you, those of you that were in the mentoring class, I said something to you. And if you follow me, I need you to follow me again. So I'm going to give you a divine, now I feel my thing. I'm going to give you a divine help that's going to change your life forever. If you realize that what is being said in this book, what is being said in these 66 books is not something that's speaking to you, it's speaking for you. It's not something speaking at you, it's speaking for you. It's saying, listen, if you apply these principles, whether you like God or not, I'm going to just leave the stage for that. I'm just walking off the stage. I'm going to just leave. They work. That whether you like God or not, the principles in this book work. But what has happened to us, because we've defined them according to people and religion, we thought this was a book of religion. So when you take this thing, you go, I need to fix a problem. John, I need to fix a problem. So what I do is I begin to ingest how the problem was fixed and then figure out how God wants to fix the problem. Make sense? Figure out how the problem was fixed before. That's your foundation. How was the problem fixed before? And what you're going to find out in this book is the problems were fixed one of two ways. Genesis, the 1st chapter. Now, half of y'all gonna think that I'm speaking against the Bible. He's sacrilegious and he's not of God. It's okay. You can go to a different channel and listen to someone else. In the beginning, who are we going to use today? Who are we going to use? Who are we going to use? Let's use Sister Sheila. Sister Sheila's over here on YouTube. Sister Sheila Zacket. I never said it. Zacket. Sister Sheila Zacket. In the beginning, verse 2. Let's not go to verse 1. Okay. Let's do verse 1. In the beginning, Sister Sheila was trying to create her heaven and her earth. Her heaven and her earth were without form. It was void and it was darkness. And Even everything in her life, everything over her life was dark. It was dark over the face of her deep. So the deep thing that Sister Sheila wanted to do, it was dark. And her spirit moved. And her spirit moved. Verse 2. And her spirit moved upon the water. And Sheila said, let there be light. The two ways you're going to win this battle is what you say and how you say it. What you say and how you say it. So here is the instructions of what happened in Genesis, the first book of the principles, the first book of the law, the first book of this book, the first chapter of this book. When we begin to learn that the spirit is not defined by the rationale and the logic of men. Now, I hope my brother is on here. I sent him the information. I hope he got on here. I don't see him, but I hope he got on here. I told you guys that I was supposed to start a church. I was going to start a church. And let me help you out. I know nothing about starting a church, and I am not afraid to tell you that. When I go to churches, there's a church already there. There's a building already there. All I do is I pick up this book and I begin to say stuff in the book. That's all I do. That's it. I call him because he knows about churches and he loves to help. And as a matter of fact, he was talking. I'm trying to get him off the phone to go in the house. He's still talking. He's still teaching. And he said, you know what? We were looking to start and expand. He said, and when we begin to expand, your name came up. Now, I hadn't talked to this brother. Well, I would say not in a year, but it was last year. I haven't talked to him in a while. So I'm shocked that my name came up. But I want you to hear something. It wasn't the fact that my name came up. That's not my problem. That's not my biggest thing. That's not what made me excited. What made me excited is while I was working over here, God was working over here. While I was over here, all things work together for the good and loving God. God was over here saying to those that called according to his purpose. While I was working over here, see, while I'm telling you to be persuaded God got you, God is working on your behalf. So when Sheila looks at her world and she says, I have to speak light to the world because my spirit has determined that it was formed and without void. So the first thing I have to do is speak from my convinced word of God and say, let there be light. That is where your battle will become. It will never be any place else. Why? You have the ability to speak. Your mind is trying to hold on to ideas that don't belong to you. And what you don't do is speak against them. And because you don't speak against them, you find yourself falling into folly. You're possessed because you don't speak against it. Did you know that there's a law? I cannot think of the name of the law, but if you don't speak against it, that means you've agreed to it. You like that one, Staples? If you don't speak against it, that means you've agreed to it. So some of you haven't spoke against the thing that was causing you poverty. Somebody has not, you don't speak to the person that is causing you abuse. You don't speak to the situation that's happening in your life. You don't speak to that. So what you've done is you've agreed that it's okay. Why? Because the greatest power that you've ever had is between what happens in your spirit and what comes out into your mouth. I taught my class, the mentees, you have to learn to introduce things to your atmosphere. Don't introduce something that doesn't belong in your atmosphere. Don't introduce something that does not belong to you. If you want to get away from possession and not be possessed, you have to speak against the thing that's trying to possess you. Okay, I know that's not real. So you're standing at your house and your house has a beautiful white living room. And a gentleman comes to the door and he opens the door and he begins to walk into your living room. As he begins to walk into your living room, you say nothing. Or even better, you begin to pray in the spirit. You begin to talk to God. What am I supposed to do? What's supposed to happen? This man is about to mess up my living room. And the mere fact that you don't tell him to stop means that you agree that he can keep going. Some of you need to understand that the reason that your mind is possessed, you never halted the thing that tried to possess it. You never told the thing that tried to possess you that it can't possess you anymore. And I'm going to use a word that I stole last night, because you're not vested into it. You're not vested enough in the Word of God that the Word of God has begun to make you alive. You're not vested in the structures of this book that it begins to give change and give manifestation and give life to what you're doing. Why? You're vested in the book as the Word of God, but you're not vested in the book as the power of your life. I know that sounds deep. Let me make it make sense. So when he says in Matthew, that same chapter in the 12th verse, he said, either make the tree good and the fruit good, or make the tree evil and the fruit evil. Because from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So he's saying that to make a tree, oh my God, to make a tree, what he wants the tree to be, he begins to speak to the tree. Saw a scientific thing last night. They did research and found out that the tree, my God, has the ability to have every mechanism that the human body does. So my crazy wife, who's in there talking to her plants, is actually not crazy at all. Why? Because they can hear you. Why? Because inside of every single solitary thing, baby, is a spirit that God touched, and the thing recognizes what you say. I'm showing off because my friend's here. He gave you a voice. And when he gave you a voice, everything in your atmosphere recognizes your voice and obeys it. So while Sheila is in Genesis saying, let there be light, all of a sudden the photons and the neurons and the cells and the light begin to come together because it recognized that somebody that has authority has just spoken. Teach, Pastor. You are possessed by the reason that you don't stop being possessed. That's it. You're possessed because you just won't say, I'm not possessed anymore. You're possessed because you just won't stop and say, this is it. I'm done. No more. This is over. And so now you're possessed. Because you didn't say, I don't want to be possessed, you agreed that you're okay to be possessed. See, some of you have to get into the spirit of this thing. Some of you have to get into the physical of this thing. Some of you have to get into the mental of this thing. Yeah. So the physical people need to begin to walk away from the things that's trying to possess them. Oh no, you don't have to walk away forever. You got to walk away enough that you get your mind right. Till the spirit of your mind kicks in. You just got to walk away. Some of you have to go walk in the park because right now you are so possessed by anger, so possessed by lust, so possessed that you won't walk away. Had a friend of mine that was dealing with the big M by themselves when they was watching girls and boys on TV. And so they would begin to gratify themselves. And they said, well, Uncle Dallas, what am I supposed to do? I said, what are you supposed to do? Stop. Just don't do it. Well, I can't. No, you can. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that something begins to overtake you. And as it overtakes you, and it overtook Uncle Dallas, when depression began to take me, it began like a cloud and it began to cover me. And I couldn't see. I couldn't hear. It began to take over. And it seemed like, though I was standing there, it seemed like it had my eyes. I couldn't see the light. I couldn't see. It began to cover me. It began to possess me. It began to make me feel like that I was the only person in the whole world. Until I said no. Until I said no. I didn't just say no. I didn't just say no. I said no at a level that whatever was going on recognized that I was saying no. Can I go deeper? Just give me one yes. Somebody say, go deeper, brother. Just go deeper. Somebody type that in there. I want to see somebody type, go deeper. Oh, my God. You're so busy caught up in religion. You're so busy caught up in circumstances and situations that they've distracted you from your power so that they can possess you. I didn't just say a word. I didn't just open my mouth and deny access to me to that thing. I spoke at a level that lined up with the principles that were in here. It lined up with the spiritual principles that were in here. So, baby, I didn't speak by myself. I wasn't talking all alone. Sister Sheila, that second ingredient, said when she looked and saw that her world was void and without form, and even over the deep things, everything seemed like it was black. She said her spirit moved upon the earth. And when her spirit moved upon the earth, what her spirit said is what she said. And so she wasn't speaking on herself because she didn't own the words she said. She simply took the words, possessed them, and used them to fight. Why are you stuck in church? Why are you following rituals? Why do you wonder whether you should tithe or not? Why? You're not free. So now I have to give you tithing so you can see how to give. I have to give you ritual so you understand the structure of God. But then somebody comes to you and says, let's let the religion go and let's move to the next level. You want to cut me down and shoot me and ask me, am I of God? When I'm looking at you, you're the most powerful being on this planet. So here's what upsets Uncle Dallas. Here, you ain't got to call me pastor. Here's what upsets Uncle Dallas. See, what upsets Uncle Dallas, oh my God, upset Uncle Dallas is this. What upsets Uncle Dallas is you are one of the most beautiful women in your life, and you're beautiful, but somebody told you weren't beautiful. So what you've done is you, by omission, accepted some man because he looked like something in the carnal, but you never talked about the spirit. Why? Because you've been possessed by religion, by society, by television, by media, and it possessed you. So what it said, when you say something, your words don't have power. Your words don't have power. Why? Because what you've done is you stepped from under the law of the spirit and begin to move in the law of the carnal. And the carnal law does not have any power to the spiritual movement. So what happens is you're trying to get unpossessed because instead of you saying, I'm not lonely because God is with me, I then attach to the carnal word that says I'm lonely. So now I can't speak life because I've now agreed with the person that possessed me. That's all you're doing. You're agreeing. You have Stockholm syndrome. You've been possessed for so long that you agree with the possession. We all had it. I had it. You had it. My friends had it. My mama had it. My cousin had it. Why? Because they spent millions of dollars to possess your mind. They won't let you deal with the spirit. Because if you deal with the spirit, you realize that you haven't been possessed. You've just been suggested. You haven't been possessed, you've just been suggested. And what a suggested is. So they send you through school, and when they send you through school, they say, here, in order for you to learn, you have to do it by repetition. 4 plus 4 is 8. 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 Till your mind begins to make 4 plus 4, 8 a reality. So what they've done through that same power is to begin to send you, there is no God, there's no God, there's no God. They tell you in the movies, they tell you in the theory, there's no God. And then what happens that plays right into it, all of a sudden, okay, this is the word of God. I'm smarter than you. I'm above you. It begins to tear down at the ability to be powerful. So what happens is God used that word. I talked to my brother last night. God used that word to begin to move us into this next level. And as he moved us into this next level, now he's waking people up that are saying, wait a minute, wait. I've got power in what I say. I've got power in what I say. So for those of you that think I hate religion, I hate church, I hate fellowship, I hate all of this stuff, you'll be all right because you're mature to the point that you understand that I don't hate anything. But if I'm driving something that needs more gas, I'm not going to get mad because I don't like the gas station. I'm going to use the gas so that I get from point A to point B. Does that make sense? So now is the time for you to speak into the void of what your life is. So here's what bothers me. I didn't forget. So here's what bothers me. We have young ladies that have great potential, but they're insecure. So they have to deal with the way of unsecuring them. So what they did is they said, we're going to take the power from a woman, then we're going to empower her. Because if I take the power from you, when I give you power, you then have allegiance to the person that gave you power. We're not going to let God give them power. We're going to give them positive words. We're going to give them health spas. We're going to give them dogs. We're going to give them all these types of things so that we can in turn move to another level. So what happens, what they would do for humans to keep humans from some humans from being together with other humans, we replace them with dogs. That's called bestiality, in case you didn't know. We replace them with dogs. So a person that could be at my grandmother's house, sitting there giving her comfort, we don't send a person, we send a dog. Why? Because I cannot let you know that what's inside your spirit can fill a room and bring comfort to somebody. So you now see people that with PSAD and all these, they send animals to them. They don't send people to them. They send animals to them. Why? Because nobody simply said that there's a person like William or a person like Lamar or a person like Will that can say, listen, I'm going to sit with you and spend time with you and play cards with you and talk you through those processes. But no, we use a comfort dog. Nobody prays. I was watching this movie one time. I like certain movies. And the brother in the movie said, what empowers me is the praise of the people. He was some kind of God. He said, the more they praise, the more powerful I get. Do you know right now, if prayer was a power source, we would be the weakest country in the world. We're possessed by our desire to be greater and desire to have our names great. And we spend very little time in that. Now, why do I say that? Because I can go through a whole plethora of things that said that. And you know what the problem that we have? You know the problem we have? Staples, you know the problem we have? We're not vested in our belief that God is who He is. So religion has given you a structure that looks like God. And so what you do is you live a religious life. You are dedicated to the usher board, the deacon board. You're dedicated to all those things. But I talked to my brother last night. He's on here now, I saw him. I talked to my brother last night. He said there's a difference in religion and relationships. He said in religion, you're just there. You're not vested, you're just there. Most of us are right now in a religious standpoint when it comes here. He said, not a dog. My brother said, not a dog. A dog. I love dogs. I think dogs are fine. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, we're not, remember the denial. But anyway, he said there's a difference. He said, in order to go from religion to a relationship, you have to be vested. He said you have to vest, you have to invest. I'm probably get him to come talk to us. Maybe he might try, if I get him to come to the conference, he might say something, say a word or two to get invested. There are 3 different levels, and I said went and studied that when I had the phone. There are 3 different levels of being vested. 3 different levels. Write this down. See, in order for you to have a relationship, you have to be vested. See, religion is the structure that you live to just maintain a position. Okay, so in order for you to maintain a position, you maintain a position is you follow the rules and laws. You follow the rules and regulations. That means you are religious. You get up at one time, you go to bed at one time. Some of you are religiously, because religion is not a bad word. Religion means that you follow the structure. Some of you religiously are with me every day at 10 o'clock. Doesn't mean you're religious. It means that's what you do. That is the structure you live. But you have to go from religion to relationship. You have to go from religion to relationship. Okay? So what you have to understand is the first step to go from religion to relationship is identifying who you want to be connected to. Number 1. I'll write it down with you. Number 1 is identifying who you want to be connected to. Identifying who? Most women that are married, they have a list of all the different things. That I want my husband to be tall. I want him to be dark. I want him to be short. I want him to have glasses. I want him to have a beard. You're identifying who you want to be in a relationship with. You're identifying who you want to be in a relationship with. Second thing, you have to figure out, why do you want that relationship? Because the next two, identity and identifying, are probably something you can do yourself. But you have to understand the next two come outside of you, but should influence you. The second is why. Why do I want a husband? Why do I want a wife? Why do I want children? Why? Because I'm going into that relationship looking for these whys. So your who and your why are really one thing. Your who and your why, because who will tell you why you want to be with that person. So your who and your why is one thing. The next thing is the requirements necessary to be in a relationship with them and them being in a relationship with you. For those of you that don't know, and if you've already been a part of it, not yet, understand something. The covenant, which was what you dealt with, the covenant puts you under contract. So every time you write something with your trusty pen and your piece of paper, you make a contract with your future. When you write things according to what God has said to you, you make a contract with God. So now you are in a covenant. But within that covenant, there are requirements to be a part of that covenant. Your who and your why are the parts of the covenant that you bring to the table. So when you're talking to who you're talking to, you give them the appropriate respect, the appropriate understanding, because the who. The why means this is the thing that I present that allows me to say, would you like to be a part, or can we be in the next level? The requirements then say, okay, what is necessary on your side? Every covenant, every relationship requires a sacrifice. You've been taught this story and you go, well, I'm losing myself when you get married. I'm losing myself. You're married. You lost yourself when the ring was put on your finger. You became a part of them. That is what's really funny. I don't want to change my last name because I'm trying to hold my identity. My people. Sweetie, the carnal name that your mama gave you, the life that you lived that your mama said you could have, your daddy gave you, and all those kind of things, that's not who you are. That's not who you are. So when you're trying to identify and hold on to the fact of who you are, and you sacrifice a good relationship because you never made the sacrifice for the relationship, because you're trying to be who you are. You are, lady, you are the most divine, loving utterance of a super God. Not a regular God, a super God. You are his utterance. You are from purpose. He pulled you out of purpose and he made you a gift to the world. People, we do not understand that women are a gift to the world. People that attack you and possess you, they understand it. The attack that's on women right now is not about women. It's about bringing the world down. You are a gift to the world. Here's the deal, though. You are a gift. You're Kool-Aid and water. There's no sugar. So you are powerful and you have a gift, but your gift is the fact that you're closer to God than us. Our job is structural. We are a gift to the planet as well. But our job is structural. So when the greatness of God, which is everything you put in woman, and the structure of God come together, they bring the person of God. So the biggest thing we have to do in order to win this battle is we have to possess that narrative. So women come into a relationship trying to identify themselves, and I'm supposed to be this, and I'm supposed to be this, and I know I'm a male chauvinist, call it what you will. Men come into a situation because we are carnal based. We start looking around at people and want to say, I want the big butt, I want the nice breasts, I want the long hair, because we never realize that we are the structure of God and our job is to create a path that others can follow. That's how we worship God. We don't worship God by everybody else, like everybody else. Our worship in that way is good, but it's not effective. Our worship and effective is when God commands us to do something, that we create that opportunity and we create it that other people can follow. So these two things come together. But you've been possessed in that because they've now told you all these different things. There are women right now that want husbands, that want to be married. And they'll sit in their little situations and they'll go, I'm praying for God, and don't stop praying for God. Start going places and sharing the wonder of who you are. So you get requirements, but then there's an investment. There's a sacrifice. Okay? Married Kendra Dallas. When Kendra Dallas came to me, I asked her to marry me. Kendra Dallas, that meant that the man had to leave mother and father and cleave to my wife. We went in there. When I was there, Kendra said, listen, this household now, she had 2 children. This household now belongs to William Dallas. Whatever he says goes. If you don't like that, you need to find someplace else to stay. She made the sacrifice of letting go of the authority that she had in her house and saying, this goes to him. From the moment she did that, remember, her worship says this. My structure says now I have to set a path and a pattern for this new family that has nothing to do with my carnal thought process, has nothing to do with my mental intellect, but has to do with my access to the Spirit. Why? Because I have to change the narrative. So now I have to sacrifice my little black book, the mindset of all the women I had in my life, the mindset of what I thought love was, the mindset of what I thought children raised, and I had to begin to submit myself to God. So what I had to do is get vested enough in God that I was able to go from point A to point B the way he wanted me. And I began that by speaking and introducing things into my atmosphere. When you begin to understand that, you understand the importance of every part of your life. So when people are going, when I'm talking to my brother, we're about to move to another level. Those of you that have come to the conference, and I thank God the conference seats are moving like hotcakes. And I think everybody had to get to the end of the month, but it's good. But the key becomes, in that April is our inaugural Higher Standards organization meeting. So Sunday, that meeting is there. And if you want to be a part of your part, Sunday is when that meeting is there. And then there have been people that are vested in it. The reason, and there are two. The reason that I remember the first thing is identify who and why. Second one is the requirement. The third one is vested. You have to get invested in it. You have. Back in the day when a man would marry a woman, they would bring a gift. They go, here goes, here that. Had a friend of mine, she was from Africa, and she said, I have a problem, Pastor Dallas. And I said, what's the problem? She said, I want to marry this young man. And I said, okay, that's great. She said, I'm from Africa. I said, why? He doesn't like African women? She said, no, that's not the problem. She said, I'm from a tribe. And in order for my family to release me to this young man, he has to bring me a cow. A what? A cow. I said, oh, okay. And she said, not only does he have to bring me a cow, he has to bring the cow in such a way that we can take the cow as a gift for me. I said, so you're basically worth a cow. She goes, no, that's our tradition. To my tribe, cows are valuable. We don't do that anymore. Men don't ask women to get married. We don't do that anymore. Our children run our lives. I love people telling me, I had to ask my child what he wanted for breakfast. Really? Is he buying it? No. Then he'll eat. Well, he don't eat chicken. Yes, he does. He eats chicken. Have you allowed him to understand that the authority is not what he decides to eat, it's the person that put it on the plate? Or has he possessed you to the point that you give him opinions because the world told you that little kids have opinions, they got thoughts and they got feelings? They do. They do. Just like you don't tell him he can do what he wants to do, you don't let him walk outside in the street because he has feelings. He feels like he wants that cookie over there, and that cookie's in the middle of the street. But somebody has to balance the fact that there's danger and not danger. Somebody has to understand that if he doesn't eat vegetables, that he's not going to be a healthy child. Because somebody has to give him the rules, the regulations, or make a sacrifice for that. The last one is sacrifice. So now we're going to do this. And there are people that, believe it or not, guys, that are vested into that have vested into what they're doing. The final thing of that is you got to get invested. You got to physically get invested, mentally get invested, financially get invested. You have to, when you go into this direction, there is no back now. When you begin to believe God, there is no change in your mind. I don't want to believe God anymore. When you move into those areas, there is no backing out. None. You don't get to back out. You don't get to move backwards. You don't. Why? You got to be so vested into it that the relationship is the final stop in your connection with God. It's your final stop. You don't have to stop anyplace else. It's your final stop. It's the stop that is going to take you to the next level. It's your final stop. It is really interesting to me as I begin to watch people grow in what we're teaching and what we're learning, how miraculous things begin to happen when we talk about this, how the miraculous happens. And God, people talk about money happening, healing happening, cars happening. All of this happened, believe it or not, in the last month or so. But what's really interesting to me, that with everybody that is watching God move, our narrative still remains the way it used to be. Our narrative remains the way it used to be. I need you to change your narrative. Now, before I go any further, not only do I need you to change your narrative, I need you to put yourself in a position where you don't allow your narrative to betray you. Don't speak for the possessors, speak for the liberation. Don't keep talking about the thing that possesses you. Talk about the thing that's setting you free. It's not going to be easy, but it can be done. It's not going to be easy, but it can be done. All right? Not going to be easy, but it can be done. You're going to eat what I give you. That's what our parents used to say. All right, guys, that's it. My YouTube people, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys for joining us. I need to go ahead and get you off. Like I said, I try to keep the YouTubes to an hour, but somebody don't know that Mr. Dallas gets a little excited sometimes. So throw a couple things out there. April 8th, 9th, 10th. We have the spiritual retreat here in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is going to be amazing. You will be 3 days and 2 nights in the Marriott, the South Park Marriott. Your meals will be covered. You will have there's going to be, for every person that gets a free book, gets a copy of all the teaching. There is also going to be a business lunch and learn, where if you want to start your business, especially if you're a young lady, if you want to start your business, if you want to learn about how to get grants and get started in the business, get money for your business, this young man, his name is Coach Houston. You can look him up. He's going to help us to do that and help us to get into those places. So if you are interested in any kind of business, don't let your mind go. If you're in any kind of business, make sure you're there and make sure you are at the place that you can do this and put yourself in the position where God can use you for it. Okay? That's number 2. Number 3, guess what? Guess what? It's one more thing. I gotta do one more thing. I'm sorry. After I do this one more thing, we are in business. Now, for those of you that did not register for the webinar, that did not register for the retreat, we're about to let it go to the public. So please contact me and let me know what you want to do in that. But guess what, guys? Ladies and gentlemen, I introduced to you the website. Yes, this, my friend, is our new website. Yes, that is it. This is the hotel we're staying at. And you know who that wonderful young man is right there. I don't know why he put Pastor, quote, William Dallas. Interesting. We'll fix that. These are the number of days that are going to be there. And my Instagram people can't really see it. This is the testimonials. There's a young lady by the name of Zara, one named Andrea. Andrea, and there's a gentleman by the name of Forrest Tittle. This is the meeting room. It is there. We have a website. If you go to the top of the website where it says become a mentee, you can hit that and you can type into there and you can go and be a part of our mentoring course. I am excited. I am excited. So, welcome to the new world. Hope you enjoy the trip. So, now, all of you that are part of the Instagram world, all of you that are part of the Instagram world, and all of you that are part of the TikTok world, please remain, because we're going to do our questions and answers there. Those of you that are part of the YouTube world and a part of the YouTube world and a part of, no, I'm going to give you the link for that. The part of the YouTube world and that are a part of Apostle Van Zant, please call me. She asked me how much the retreat is. Apostle Van Zant don't need to ask the retreat. She needs to call me. I said, call me. Just call me. Send me a message or something. See, here's one of the reasons I don't say that online, and two reasons. Reason number one, there are two different categories of when we come pay for, and there's some other stuff that goes on. That's number one. Number two, I don't want you to come to a conclusion just because of money. And I tell people this all the time. Stop making it about money. If you make it about money, then what you're going to do is you're going to put a value on what God is doing. And it's really funny. Here's really what's interesting. You don't make going to church about money. You go in there and you try to pay your tithe. You don't make that about money. Why? Because you believe that is going to give you something. That believe that you're going to move into something. And now you're ready to go to a different level. Don't make it about money. Because just like you go to church and you believe that God's going to bless, don't make this about money. God's going to bless. So, God's going to bless. So, I say all that to say this. Thank you very much. If you were part of the YouTube and the Facebook family, please find your way to Instagram or TikTok so that we can answer your questions. Unless there are any pressing questions right now, can I have the information for the retreat and the mentoring class? Yes, you can. You know what? Let's do this. Down at the bottom, down at the bottom, you see where it says, that lady says D Boom right there? You see that yellow or that orange Higher Talk over in the comment section? If you can see the comment section, that right there, go to Higher Talk at Gmail, or go to Higher Talk at Gmail and I'll get you that information. I would send you the website, but I still want to make sure all the stuff on the website is better and he fixes that and all that other good stuff. All right? Okay. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Go to this website right here. And who's saying that? Galicia Carr. Yeah. D Boone has done that for us. She's done a wonderful job. If anybody else on YouTube wants to join, go to that. She's placed that there for you so that you can see it. All right? Okay. All right. I love you guys very much. And for those of you that don't know, my name is William Dallas, really Uncle Dallas. And I'm the founder, one of the participants of the Higher Standards organization. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I hope everything in your life is going. You know what I keep forgetting this? Father, I thank you. I bless you. You are wonderful. I honor you for everything that you're doing and how you're doing it. I thank you for the power that you've given us in our utterance. I thank you for everything that you're doing in our lives. Release your anointing. Destroy yokes. Help us to understand that we need to begin to speak into the direction and not speak from our past. Speak into a direction and stop speaking from our past. God, give them a revelation of who you are. Confirm your words with signs following. Do what you said you're going to do and be who you called us to be. Be it within us. We thank you, God, that this weekend will be a miraculous weekend, an amazing weekend. Let it be a beautiful weekend so we can go out and enjoy our days. And we thank you for it, and we bless you for it. And we do all these things according to the access that was given to us through your Son.